What is going on, people? Ryan Leary here from Work Defined, and you are listening to the BARF. It is the 14th of April, and we have a whole lot of news to talk about this week. I am here with my favorite person in the world, my co-host, Mr. William Tincup. What is going on today?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How was that intro for you? Did you like that?
That's great.
I've been
Great.
working
Let's
on
do
it.
more of that. That's awesome.
I can start over. What's going on, people? Now, so funny story. I started telling you about this.
Yeah.
I was reached out to host an environmental festival.
Okay.
I have
Things
no
that would
clue.
never happen to me. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I
Good.
don't know
Try
why.
again.
I don't know why. However, maybe I'll get chosen. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. There'll be fishing stuff there. It'll be on the water in Philadelphia. Have a good old time. So if you're in Philly sometime around May for an environmental festival, come on by.
I like all of
Shake
this.
my hand. So
MC.
MC baby, MC. So anywho, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Let's do the breaking news.
Let's just jump into this thing. How about you kick us off?
Good. All right. Let me pitch you this story. New SAP SuccessFactors app is now in the Microsoft Teams App Store. So these large companies have been doing business together for a long time. It's not new, but this part is new. So Teams, you would think is it's an HR. You could see it as an HR product, right?
Yeah.
And inside Teams now they'll be able to do performance management and the other things.
Monopolistic
Yes.
Teams.
Well, Microsoft doesn't want to be in the HR tech-based business. They want to partner with all of the different people. And so when I first read it, it's like, okay, what I like about it is if you're a Microsoft shop, and there's a lot of Microsoft shops out there, then now you have access to do all the things that SuccessFactors does.
Yeah.
And we think of it as performance management, but it's much more than that. They have an ATS, they have this, they have that. So they have all kinds of cool stuff, and now it's on their app.
Yeah.
So I like it. I think it's great. I think it's a good partnership. It's a good way for Microsoft to get into the kind of the HR tech game without getting into the game.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what I mean.
and they're in the news for other things as well. So they, with their whole antitrust issues with
Yep.
365 and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me, I'm dying over here. The
Don't die.
I'm gonna put you on mute for a second.
As you should. Don't die. But I do like the partnership. I like the partnership in general, but I like this part of the partnership of putting SuccessFactors app inside of Teams app.
Yeah.
I like that.
Does that make for good live podcasting? Let me put you
Oh,
on mute
100%.
for a second.
100%.
I'm just
Very professional here.
I keep
Yes.
it real, homie. So the whole antitrust suit with Microsoft. So they are unbundling Teams from 365, which is really
That's right.
interesting. It's almost as if, and so I was reading an article on this the other day, and it was really interesting because they said, it was almost as if they planned this, which I'm sure they did, right? Let's bundle. Let's capture the market, right? Let's do what we need to do.
The government's going to force us to unbundle.
And now we're going to unbundle, but so many of the enterprises, right? Like most of the Fortune 100 is already tied to Microsoft.
Oh, 100%.
At some level, right? With Teams,
shocking,
etc.
Not shocking.
Right. So now here, the power the power behind that is that because they're unbundled, not as you get larger and further up the chain, like Fortune 100s, they're not interested in 365.
Right.
They are interested in Teams. Teams is kind of that platform, right? So now they can expand there. They don't need the power of 365, which they've used for the last number of years.
Well, and they've got so many different products. They're not worried. If you don't want to buy one of them, all right. So what? That doesn't hurt them.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the SuccessFactors news. What do you got?
SuccessFactors. All right. Textio, our friends over at Textio. So a lot of stuff happening over there. A lot of stuff happening. Unfortunately, this is about a layoff. So they had to cut 16. Actually, this was a little while ago. Actually, this is not super recent. We didn't talk about it, but there's been a lot of cuts in the space. and this is one that kind of, for whatever reason, I just want to talk about. We know the people there, we know the
Yep.
team, right? They've done fantastic things, but their layoff it was a little bit ago, but 16% of its staff, right? So they're left with roughly 71 or so employees. That could have changed by now.
Hmm.
The reason that they gave for this was that they were shifting their resources to support what they call Textio Lift, which is essentially is a product that they released last year to help managers with feedback and to remove their bias from their feedback while doing the reporting and leadership reports and things like that.
Yeah,
So
there's got to be more to this story because their founder Kieran
mhm,
stepped down, stepped away,
that's
whatever,
right.
all that stuff. I kind of think that and they had been studied. We did a podcast with them,
Yeah,
and it's just I think they missed their moment
yeah.
when ChatGPT came out,
That was
and I think they missed their moment. Before that, I think Grammarly, I think Textio, what they were positioned around, there was a real uniqueness,
yeah,
and I think they had a moment to sell that uniqueness to somebody.
yeah,
Now they're going to struggle like the video interview platform struggled for
right,
years against Skype.
right,
You know,
right.
that basically people are like, yeah, okay, so I like it, but I can do that on Skype, and they
Can
struggle with that.
can they pull out of this is really
I
the
I
question.
must
I mean,
say I must say no.
that's a
Yeah,
shame.
it's unfortunate, but I think they missed their moment. I mean,
Yeah,
they've been again researching large language models. They're in it. They've been doing this
a long time.
long time,
Yeah,
but they had a moment where they were truly unique in
right.
showing people the bias and showing people
Yeah,
very specifically what they could do. And now I think other people are going to have those models, maybe not on the same data.
right,
Maybe they won't be as good, but see that assumes that people can discern quality,
right.
and that therein lies the problem. Most people can't discern quality when it comes to stuff like this. So
Mhm,
good becomes good enough.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I wish them
sucks.
luck, and let's see where they
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong actually. So I came across this story and I thought of you because you brought up Home Depot. I
Yeah,
think pretty much every show.
every
So
show.
that's why I was
Are
I
they
was
doing a
keywords.
4-day work week? Is
I
that what you're
was
telling me?
I wish. No, I did a keyword search on Home Depot. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
What was going on with Home Depot
yeah,
this week?
yeah.
No. So data compromised through
Mm,
third-party SaaS misconfiguration. So comes from spiceworks.com. And so basically, a SaaS vendor, they didn't name the vendor yet, but or
they
at
will.
least that I could find. They think it impacted about 10,000 employees, so not a
Mm,
small group of people. They inadvertently exposed a subset of employee data. So then it got to me thinking after I was reading it, I'm like, who's responsible? So when you go through an implementation, right, you're doing configuration, you're doing all that type stuff. Is it the company? Is it Home Depot's fault? I mean, is it their fault or is it, let's say, pick a vendor? We don't need to say names, but let's pick a vendor. Is it their fault? So that's what got me thinking down this thought is like, okay, when this stuff goes sideways, whose fault?
mm,
Which then got me to think practitioners check the language in your contracts. So anything that's related to data breach or security or any of that type of stuff, it's probably already in there. There's probably some type of contingency that's already been written in there, but the problem has historically been is the contracts come from the software companies, which are going to protect the software companies,
right.
not necessarily the practitioners. So, just as a word of advice, make sure that your legal team goes back through before something like this happens, not
Yeah.
after the fact. But it is, again, data breaches happen. It's kind of a part of our
Yeah.
modern
Part of our
life.
life.
But uh, this one is the first one I've found misconfiguration of SaaS software.
For a moment in time, just one day, I want to sit inside your brain
Oh, good God.
because I would
No,
not look
you
at this
don't.
story and
No,
connect all of these dots
you would
to make
not
this
want to.
work.
When,
How
when people
dark
ask,
can we go?
yeah, when people ask, hey, what are you thinking? I'm like,
Yeah.
Whoa.
I thought maybe we were gonna go Home Depot, ageism. Old people
Yeah.
can't
No.
climb the
We got plenty of
ladders.
stuff. No, dude.
There's plenty.
Like 10,000 employee data is out there
Yeah. All right.
unsold on the black web, dark web.
New hire, right? So
Mm.
new hire,
What you got?
Sensia. We
Yep.
love Sensia, right?
We
We've
do.
talked to them a lot.
Joanna's wonderful.
They have beautiful booths at the events.
Yep.
Great people. They brought in new head of product. His name is Steve Goldsmith. He was from, you have to help me with the name,
Atlassian.
Atlassian. I always get this wrong.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, I love this. I don't know Steve personally,
Right. Right.
but I do love his background, and I think it's exactly what a company like Sensia needs.
Yep.
He comes from just a world of workflow management, right? So Jira, for those that don't
Yeah.
know, so companies like Jira, Confluence, Trello, right? So he
Mm-hmm.
comes from a background that fits so well into what Sensi does, from his ability to, I shouldn't say I don't know his ability, but what I would assume would be
He's got a track. I mean, not a track
he's
record.
got a
He's got
track.
pedigree.
He's got a
Pedigree.
pedigree, track record,
Yes.
pedigree, all the same there.
I like
And
it. I like
I
that
mean,
he's not, and he
they need a
doesn't
jolt.
come from the usual suspects.
No, they're not coming from another HR tech company. I
Yeah.
think every company needs a zzz, a jolt at some point,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think this could be it. So I'm interested to
Somebody,
see where this goes.
I love it. I think it's a great story because again, bringing in new talent, and again, talent with that type of pedigree,
Yeah,
um, that's going to help Joanna or
yeah,
Joe if you know her.
yeah.
So I
The
think it's good.
what I you know what I like about hires, not just with this particular hire, but
Right.
when we bring people, I say we meaning the royal we in
Yeah. Yeah.
HR tech from outside the industry. I love that because
Me too.
we have a lot of innovation in this space. We really do, but it feels like it's lagging behind,
Oh yeah.
right?
Well, it is.
So when we bring people from other industries, I think that provides that punch and that innovation that we need to move faster. And I'm hoping I see this here.
Oh, 100%. I think you're spot on.
Yep.
All right, let me pitch you this story. So, AI driven future reskilling initiatives by tech giants. This I found on Axe Recruiting, so it's AXE recruiting.com.
The only
Because
thing I
you know
could think of,
Axe.
the
So I
only
asked
thing
this guy something, and
when when
then he asked somebody something. What now?
when you asked, when you said that, the only thing that played in my head was the ho 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 green giant. That's a really bad impression. That's all I could think of just now. Now it's going
And
to be
I'm
in my
thinking of
head all
Axe
day.
versus Ask. So yeah, we're tracking. So
You know,
here's some of the players just named in the article: Indeed, Cisco, Accenture, IBM, Google, Eightfold, Intel, Microsoft, SAP. All right. So why I think this is really interesting is they're trying to provide as a group. They're trying to provide recommendations to employers on the way to upskill workers
hmm
so that they're prepared for how AI affects their roles. So I like this kind of these tech giants coming
hmm
together and going, okay, we see. I mean, I've seen a figure as large as 300 million jobs will be impacted by
yeah,
AI. Okay,
impacted,
so that,
not lost, impacted.
no, impacted. So again, what they're doing is they're basically saying, okay, we know that the skills of the future are going to need this, and then they're basically doing it together instead of
Yeah,
learning in silos, which I like.
yeah,
And I think it's a good idea because it hopefully maybe it lessens FOBO, that fear of being obsolete that we've talked
yeah,
about.
yeah.
So
This is I'm curious to see where this goes. This is almost like the ultra wealthy, the ultra
yeah,
rich
yeah,
of the rich getting
right,
together and saying, I'm taking 75% of my fortune and donating it to charity, right? They're
right.
taking all of their power and they're saying, okay, we recognize. Now let's not misunderstand this here.
Mm.
They're going to benefit from this.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
No,
That said,
no.
if they don't do this, there are going to be millions and millions of people that are
Hmm.
going to be left with, what do I do?
Got left behind.
Right.
Yeah,
And so
and it's disproportionate
yes,
white collar jobs.
yes, correct. Correct.
So you know, it's not going to impact your master plumber
My
as
mama
much
always
as
said, be a plumber.
I'd
Turns
probably
out
be a
you were
master.
right, Mom.
I'd probably do a master electrician. But I know a guy down here that's a
Yeah.
master electrician and a master plumber.
Hmm.
Dude,
I don't
when
think
he
I
comes to
just,
the house, he can just fix things. It's
yeah.
like
I want
magic.
that
Magic
superpower.
happens.
If I had to pick a superpower, it would be to be able to fix shit.
Fix
Because,
toilets.
like, just anything,
Oh yeah, no.
just
I know what
fix
you're
it.
talking
I
about.
don't want to YouTube it anymore. I want to be able to
Yeah,
fix it. I don't
let me get a screwdriver. I can just take care of this real quick. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
No, not me.
All right, I've got two here. One's going to be
Okay,
super fast because
okay.
I've talked about it previously. The overtime rule.
Yep.
Okay, so the for those that didn't listen, which I don't know who would not have listened
I don't know.
to the previous episode. So we'll just start there. Um, okay, so the overtime rule, the threshold. So what I'm talking about here is in order to be eligible for overtime pay. Okay, the threshold was 35,568. Okay, which that's a non-living wage at this point,
Right.
right? So if you were over that amount of money, if you made more than 35,000, you just weren't eligible, right? Like you didn't have to be paid. Now, so the proposal was 55,000 and change. That was whatever a couple weeks back we spoke about this. Now that cleared into the White House. Okay, so
Really?
this has now been not published into law, but it
Right.
has been accepted and cleared. So it's unclear when it would
Right.
happen. The expectation is April. We're running out of time, so maybe a little later. But the addition to this is that every 3 years it is reviewed. And so that number can continue to go higher. And
Oh,
so what that
interesting.
means, if you're making 45,000, then you weren't eligible for overtime. Once this publishes and clears, you will now be eligible for overtime. And obviously that affects money,
Right.
right?
The cost is going to get passed down. It's
Yeah,
just like what we
absolutely.
talked about last year with the in California, the minimum wage going up
Yeah. Are you going to pay
for
30 bucks for a hamburger?
right,
No,
right.
no,
It's not like they're going to take it out of the loss, or
no,
that it just gets passed on. So
no.
no worries.
Fuel goes up, airline tickets go up. Same thing,
Right,
right? Same
right.
thing. I mean, yeah. Look, you go to a restaurant now, it's $18 for a hamburger.
Oh yeah.
That makes the hamburger not good to me. $6, I love the hamburger.
You see, that reminds me of that bit in Pulp Fiction where
Never seen it.
John Travolta says it's $5 shake. He's like, $5 shake? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Better be a really good
Bigger,
fucking
yeah.
shake.
I
And
wish
then,
I could get a $5 shake now.
and then it comes and he tastes it. He's like, that's a pretty good
It's
shake.
pretty good shake. Pretty good shake. Pretty
That's
good
what we're
shake.
gonna do with $30 hamburgers. Is we're gonna
Yeah,
go,
but
it's a pretty good hamburger. Fair enough. All right, that works.
it's not that. All right, my second one here. So the real thing I want to talk about, the joint employer rule. So I wanted to talk about this a couple weeks back, and I think I mentioned it. This was when Subway was stealing tips and all
Right,
of that
right.
stuff, because it's kind of tied into that. Um, so they killed it, right? So it went to the Senate. Last time it was just kind of whatever, wherever it was. It went through Senate. Senate said, they killed it,
No,
right? Not over yet, right? Not over yet. They're still gonna kind of work through it. But this is a protection for the worker.
right,
This is a worker protection clause. So I'll give you an example here. I'll kind of tie it back into work. Think staffing agencies,
right,
think subcontractors, temp agencies,
right,
companies like this, right? Where I'm a staffing agency and I find you
right,
in the market, I give you to someone else, right? And I'm paying, they're paying me, I'm paying you, they're paying me 50 bucks, I'm paying you 20 bucks,
right.
right? So it's this process. But what happens with benefits? What happens when you get hurt? What happens when um I don't know, there's a wage issue, something like
Right.
that? Who's
Well,
responsible for that, right? Who's responsible for
it's
your employment rights?
the
Is it
difference between a W-4 and a W-2.
Right. Well, and so that's the confusion. And so
No, there's
is
no
it?
confusion.
Well,
It's
there
if
is
you're a
now.
W-4, the thing is this will never. And this comes
It'll
up
never.
every
It's way over my head in terms of
until the
why and
French
how, but
government takes over our government.
it's
It'll
not going to happen.
never happen because it
Yeah.
extends employee benefits and rights that they
Right.
don't want to give. No business wants to give, quite frankly,
No.
to contractors.
No.
So
Mm,
I mean, the risk. It's if you want to be an employee, that's a decision. If you want to be a
right.
contractor, that's a decision.
Yeah. And
And
there are
sometimes that's
there.
your decision, and sometimes that's the company's decision. But they're
Yeah. And
just
there are
never
rights
going
for
to extend that.
contractors now that are very different than they were
Eh,
a couple
ish.
of years ago ish. Yeah. This is like the gig worker issues and
Yeah,
all this stuff,
yeah.
and this is all part of that. So anyhow, that's it.
All right, let me pitch this story to you. So you know NVIDIA, basically the makers of all kinds of AI stuff. Their stock's been going through the roof
Yeah.
for the last 2 years. It's
Someone
insane.
once
So
told me to buy it 3, 4, 5 years ago, and I said, yeah,
that's
sure. And I never
yeah,
bought it, which is why I'm
that's
here with
okay.
you. So it's all
That's
good.
yeah, I was about to say you've got
The
some crypto, so you're
the
good.
the benefit
S-
of me not buying it is I'm sitting here with you.
See, there you go. I think that's a good way of looking at things. All the failures in your life, wherever
Yeah,
wherever you went left, and you
yeah. There was a
yep,
time,
yeah,
I'll let
fair.
you get to your story, and
No, you're good. You're
I
good.
posted a photo. You were sitting here, I was sitting here on a plane.
Yes,
But I
yes.
took the photo. I said, you know you've made it when William Tincup is sitting next to you on a plane. It was kind of a creeper photo, but look,
It was.
it works. All
I
right,
have one of you falling asleep at one of our events, so
that happens a lot. If you don't
that was
continue,
actually really funny
if we don't
because I
get through
posted.
this, I'm gonna fall asleep now.
I posted on Instagram. It's so great. Like your head's like down.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was pretty
I'm
funny.
like, Ryan's really he's into this training.
We're gonna have to find that photo. That was pretty funny. I
Oh, it's
remember
on my Instagram. I didn't delete it. So NVIDIA employees. So the story goes. This has been businessinsider.com. So check it out. NVIDIA employees are getting richer with a special Jensen grant that boosts their stock awards by 25%. So basically, Jensen is their CEO, founder,
that.
etc. They have a market cap of 1 trillion.
Ooh,
Let that sink in.
with a
So
T.
as yeah, with a T.
We talking
So
trillion.
trillion, yeah. So yeah, pocket change. So the thing is as I read the article, I like articles like this where you can see that the CEO founder is trying to do the right thing.
Mhm.
Like basically looks around and says, no one thought that the stock was going to shoot up like it is and splitting and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. You know what? Let me let's go back to our stock options plan and let's do some right things, some right sides and etc.
Right.
And so I love stuff like this because they don't get enough news. Those stories don't get enough news in our world. But then I thought about, if you want to retain employees, because that talent is probably, I'm just guessing, but I would imagine that there's a bunch of firms that want to recruit that talent,
Yeah,
right?
I would think
So
so.
this is a great way to retain your talent. Make them shareholders. Give them just more
Yeah.
stock so they're more vested in what you're doing, and it's going to be harder for the other big companies out there that
Yeah.
are trying to do some of the same things. So I love it.
Yeah,
Great story.
we have I mean, way different category and money and all that. We have a
Right.
couple grocery stores in this area. We one specific I'm thinking of called Redner's, where it's employee owned,
Yep.
right? And so I've always wondered, like, oh, so how does that work? Like, I come in, I get a job, I get a little bit
Yep.
of that's it. I don't know that keeps me there. Not at a supermarket. But I know we're talking
Uh,
like hundreds of thousands of dollars different with these people.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um,
I think, well, again, depending on your position at the supermarket, I think if you're
yeah,
bagging groceries at the supermarket, yeah, you're probably not thinking about it. It's
yeah,
probably not that big a deal.
yeah.
But if you're a manager, yeah,
You're,
it
yeah,
probably
sure.
probably helps you.
Yeah. All right. So portable benefits for gig workers.
Right,
Curious to get your thought on this here. So first, let me define portable benefits for those that are listening that may not know, and then I want to get your
right.
thought on this. So portable benefits for gig workers essentially refer to benefits that are not tied to a specific job or the
Right.
employer. Rather, it's tied to the employee or the gig worker in this case. A lot of ways for this to be funded, right? But I'm curious to get your thoughts on having a subset of benefits, a portable benefits program for gig workers that choose to be gig workers as opposed
Right.
to a full-time role at an organization.
What's different from that in ACA, or what people sometimes refer to as Obamacare?
I don't think there is a difference. Yeah,
Right. So you can
yeah,
get benefits. If you want to get benefits, you can get benefits.
yeah.
So the portability, I think, when ACA first came to market, it scared everyone because companies would use that to keep their employees,
Right.
right? So that this was just a way of being able to keep their employees. And if you had really good health insurance, it would be
Hmm.
something that, you know, can't walk away from this because we have such great insurance.
Yeah,
But with ACA slash Obamacare, you can go on and get insurance.
yeah, and it's
So,
regular
like,
insurance. Like we're not talking
yeah,
like it's some
nope,
nickel and diamond. Like these are
it's
regular
regular insurance.
Independence Blue Cross and all the others. Yeah, it's
If
regular
you
insurance.
if you want insurance, you can get insurance. If you can pay for insurance, you can
You
get
can get it
insurance,
right.
etc. So I don't really think that there's a there unless the platforms start contributing. Now, say I could see a play where
That's
the
yeah,
platforms that we know and love
right.
that then say, hey, we'll contribute 25% to your benefits. So
Exactly.
they don't, it's portable, you still
Hmm.
buy it, etc. It's just they either reimburse you or the, the financial
Right.
mechanism they'd have to work on, but
Yeah.
that keeps you on the platform.
Right. And you can
But
go from platform to platform. It just transfers with you, and it's
yeah, that
good.
would be harder. I
Yeah.
think they would only do it, if I were a platform, I would only do it if they stayed on my platform. I wouldn't want
Yeah.
them to be able to go from um, two of these different platforms from one to the other and back and forth.
Yeah.
Like from Fiverr to what is it? BetterUp? Not
Upwork
BetterUp.
or
WeWork? Yeah,
yeah,
Upwork.
yeah. We
So from
we
Upwork
work now.
to yeah, different work. So from WeWork to Fiverr. If I were Fiverr, I would say, hey, listen, if you spend 90% of your time with Fiverr and you're not an employee, you're
Yeah.
still a subcontractor, so you can do whatever you want, but we'll contribute.
Yeah, it's interesting, and
It keeps that talent there.
yeah, and
So
it's so hard. I don't know how they would do that, and
uh,
again, this is why people get paid a lot more than me and much smarter.
100%.
But if you can't generate the work on that platform, how do you stay? Right? So there would be so much transient traffic of
That's right.
employees and gig work. Like I don't know how that would happen.
That's probably why it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, yeah. But I love the idea, and yes, there are
It,
marketplaces currently to get
right.
that, and they're very affordable.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, very affordable.
All right, let me pitch you a story. Now we are, for the audience, we are on to the
Acquisitions.
A's, the acquisitions. So I found this on PR Newswire. So this is Multiverse acquires AI talent software company Searchlight to help businesses close skills gaps. So basically, what this is going to do is help Multiverse with both the skill gap analysis and AI,
Mhm.
because Searchlight was really good at both. Really,
Yeah.
really good at understanding kind of what's missing in the story. And what I love about this particular acquisition is that both founders they're twins, they're sisters. Came out of
Oh, I didn't know that.
Stanford, went
Okay.
through oh, I can't remember what accelerator they went through. Anyhow, they went through an accelerator, then they came up with Searchlight, and they've been doing it for a couple of years. They're really smart, really, really nice. Love
Yeah.
seeing that, but I love seeing the founders. Like one of them's going to be head of product, and one of them's going
Yeah.
to be head of AI. Like they're
Yeah.
taking senior positions.
Right.
So I think it's good, and I wish them well.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on this one. Okay, Cadian. Our
Hmm.
friends at Cadiant,
Yep.
TA provider, obviously.
Yep.
Hourly hiring is where they play. They've been acquired by a PE firm, Vectors Capital.
Hmm.
So I know you have thoughts on private equity firms getting involved. They can be good or bad. They can
Yeah.
be your best friends, or they could really just put you in the shitter. So curious to get your thoughts here.
Yeah. Last time I haven't talked to Katie in a couple of years, but it's a really cool play. I mean, it's
It is,
built.
yeah,
It came up through hourly and high
yeah,
volume. So like it's built for that. They've been doing it for years. PEs, I've seen great success stories with PEs, and I've seen them destroy companies, quite
right,
frankly, like with their ideas and with their kind of arrogance, if you will. I've seen both sides, but
yeah,
I've seen like with when Vista came into Bullhorn, and they did wonderful work.
right.
And Vista kind of sometimes gets a bad rap because they have they have a playbook that they play by, and when they
There's a
acquire, they
reason
kind of
why they're successful,
there's a reason, yeah, it's not left to chance, and they threw out the playbook,
right?
and I thought it was just genius because the way they worked with Bullhorn and Art and the rest of the team is they really went like startup funding, and I mean this is hundreds of millions of dollars, so it wasn't
It's
startup
not a
funding.
startup, right?
No, but the way they worked with them was really entrepreneurial, and
Yeah,
I love that. So it's now the thing is Katie, to my knowledge, they've never really had a lot of money. Like they don't, they like
yeah,
$150 million
yeah.
rounds,
They
shit
weren't
like
bootstrapping, but they weren't
right,
right.
exactly. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the money.
Yeah,
That's my take on this. Is like, okay, when you first get this thing, what is it? What are you redoing the product? Are you gonna tear it down and build it back
right.
up? Are you going to spend it in international expansion?
Yeah, I'm
Are you
pretty
going to
sure they want to be a partner of ours. That's what.
100%,
I kid.
100%?
Wink, wink. I forgot the ching ching the last couple,
Oh
so
no,
I'm
you got to
gonna
do that deal.
add them in now. There we go. We got $3 signs.
All right, so let me tell you a little bit about this. Is another acquisition. Intrust enters into discussions to acquire, which they will. They don't announce stuff like this
Yeah.
until they know that they're going to do it. So acquire a identity verification on FIDO. That's probably pronounced incorrectly. It's ONFIDO. So you can find this on Intrust. They're on both. The press release is on both sites. So it's on FIDO's site, it's on Intrust's site. I found it on Intrust's site, and basically, when you read the press release, it's talking about I, I, identity verification.
Yeah.
And with the advent of AI, not the advent, but with the popularization or modernization of AI and Gen AI, identity verification becomes more important. Me
Right.
knowing who you are, that you are actually a real human being, it becomes heightened. Like before, it was like, there was a little bit of fraud, and
Yeah.
yeah, we would like to stamp that out, but not really that big a deal. Now, I
Yeah.
think I think this is going to be one of those deals where this category is going to get hotter and hotter and hotter.
Yeah.
And so it gets me to the phrase I've said before: trust no one and
Yeah.
no one and nothing until you can verify it.
Yeah. I want to see where this where verification goes. I
Yeah, I do
you
too.
know I just there I don't know what the solution is, but I know there's a better way to
Yeah,
verify this stuff in a way that is just truthful, right? Like
yeah,
a source of truth, and it's like there's so many plays out there now that I don't know that they're not modernized.
right.
They're just more of the same, and I think
Yeah,
one of these guys has to
it's
step up and do something.
it's a difference between revolution and evolution, right? So they're
Yeah,
evolutionary, so they're making
yeah,
another step, but it's not like really changing in it. And blockchain had the promise
right. It hasn't come, but
of
yeah,
basically you had to be you on the
right,
chain,
yeah,
and if you weren't you, you couldn't play the game.
right.
And we might get back to something like
Maybe,
that for it to work. But you're right. I think this
yeah,
whole category of verification fascinating, and
yeah,
I think it just gets hotter.
yeah. No, 100%. All right, this is not funding, but it is a release of a feature of an old friend of
Yep.
An old friend of ours, Seek Out,
Yep.
conversational search, and so not really. doesn't fit in the funding, but I just wanted to talk about these guys. I love Seek Out. We love everything they do. We're a Newbin team and since the beginning. But so they've got what's called Seek Out Assist, right? This is their
Yep.
Gen AI play, and this is a conversational search. What I love about this is a commitment, in my eyes anyway. This is a commitment to actual recruiting, to the top of the funnel, tapping
Yep.
into the brain of the recruiter, right? Forget the Boolean searching, right?
Yep.
Forget, Boolean master dead, right? Whatever. Like,
Yep.
forget that. This is leveraging your brain, the recruiter's brain, and the smarts of the recruiter to prompt the system to say, here's what I need.
Yeah. Not
And
that, this. Not
not
that,
that
this.
this,
Yeah.
right? And Seagal, who's done phenomenal with this for years
Right.
now, is now at a point where they have just a tremendous amount of data that they
Yep.
sit on, that they can do this for the recruiter. Now, I haven't used it in real time, so I can't vouch for it there.
Yeah.
But those that have, and what I'm seeing and talking to people, it's actually the real deal, and they're doing a great thing. So this is my world. I love
Oh yeah.
top of funnel recruiting. I love the marketing piece of it. I love everything about this. So I'm really, really interested to see where this
I think
goes.
it's
And yep,
I think it helps everybody. Their
yeah,
customers, more importantly. Again, we've talked about how you get low value tasks out and you get some of the
this
more
does
high
that.
value stuff. This does that. This is
Yeah,
one of those things
yeah,
that basically a sourcer
yeah,
or a recruiter can then just talk
yeah,
or type or however
right,
you would do it, and then then refine results, calibrate,
right,
recalibrate, and then
yeah.
it gets you to a place where you're happy.
Yeah, now I don't
So
want to overplay it like this is the first time this has ever been done.
no,
Not
that's not the
saying
bit.
that.
That's not the bit.
They
So
have a massive amount of customers
they do,
who
they do.
did
They've
not
done a
have
wonderful
who
job.
and they've committed to Seek Out, right? And they didn't have the so now this is going to be a good play for these people, and I think it's going to advance what they're doing, and hopefully
Hmm.
they'll be able to take this and do more in their recruiting process. So kudos to the team at Seek Out. Congrats.
I love it. Okay, Ryan, have you ever been pitching a story to you? Have you ever been stumped by an acronym in HR?
You
Has there
know,
been something where you're like, what the hell is that?
there's a million of them in HR. There's also one on Instagram that's like 30 letters long. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it,
Oh yeah, I know.
but the moment I saw it, I knew exactly what it was, and I didn't even have to read it. I'll post it somewhere. We'll post it on the Instagram page. So go find our Instagram page because I'm gonna post it there. But go ahead. Acronyms. Yes,
So
I get confused all the time.
so PEO, what's PEO?
PEO. I don't know.
Okay, so basically your A to Z guide of HR acronyms and abbreviations.
Yep.
So this is AIHR.com. We've used their site
Hmm.
before. We like them. And basically, they've built and will continue to refine a glossary of terms.
Hmm.
And so it's cool. It's searchable. It's built
Yeah.
by letters, like the whole build. It's very easy
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
use. So in case you run up against a term and you're like reading, and go, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Because there is, the deeper you get into comp, the more lingo-ish it becomes. The
There's
deeper you
yeah.
get into learning, the more lingo-ish it gets, right?
Yeah.
So, like most people, we know what an ATS is, but like most people outside of like our little industry, they don't know what the hell an ATS is.
ATS,
So,
PEO. Did you really want me to answer PEO, by the way? For those that
no,
are
no.
listening, they're like, how does this dude not know
Did you just go search it?
PEO? No. Google. No.
So, so basically, the bit is, and again, we're kind of in the research category, kind of
Yeah.
giving you some tools to use and hopefully make your life a little bit better. Um, you can Google it clearly,
Hmm.
or you could just have this as bookmarked and then look at it. And then what I like about it is, I went through I went through A to Z, and what I
I
like
believe
about
that.
it, well, I knew
Again, I
because
want to be in your mind just one day. Just one day.
I knew most of them. I didn't know all of them. So like it would trip me up when I would hit something and go, Oh, I hadn't heard of that. What the hell is that? And then I'd read the description and go, oh,
Yeah.
well, I should have known that. So, anyhow, it's a great resource. I hope you use it.
Okay.
And Godspeed.
Yeah. Godspeed, little minnow. So age. You see, you hang out with you too much, and you
I
just
know. That's what
it's just
happens.
like yeah.
Just happens.
So
It's like moss. Just grows on you.
uh, ageism. All right, we talked about it. We had a show this week
We did. We had a
on
really
ageism.
good show on
We
ageism.
we did. I actually really enjoyed that show.
I
I kind
tried
of
to
want
convert. I tried to convert you and the guest on being pro ageism. You remember?
to. I can't remember.
I was,
My mind is
I
so
was
old.
trying
I
to
can't
sell it.
remember. It was like 2 days ago. Of course, I fucking
Well,
remember.
I was trying to sell it. I was like, both of y'all are like, oh, this is
Yeah,
making me feel dirty.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
I was waiting. I didn't want to be the first one to answer, and I was just like, This is the awkward silence of who's gonna talk first. I'm like,
guess eyes get like this
no,
big because they came
yeah,
on to
like,
talk about how bad ageism is, and I'm like,
oh god.
let me
But
run
then,
this idea
yeah,
past you. I
ageism
think
can help.
I
Here's
think
how.
ageism is a good
Yeah.
idea.
I mean, look, I don't want this 75-year-old man to climb the ladder at Home Depot and get hurt. I'm looking
That's right.
out for his safety. It's his
There you
workplace
go.
safety.
See,
Uh, all right, so this
what
is
do you got
pretty
here?
cool. So this is pretty cool. This is something I found on it was like HC Mag or some crap like that. Actually, it was HC Mag. Yeah. So hiring managers confess they have certain biases against recruiting Gen Z and
Interesting.
senior candidates.
So it's on both sides.
It's on both sides, right?
Oh, that's interesting.
So
Okay.
check. So here's a couple. I have 3 bullet points here. I'm not going to
All
read the
right.
whole thing because they're kind of long. But Resume Builder, a survey from
Uh-huh.
Resume Builder, 36% of this is a small sample, 360 hiring managers in the U.S. admit they have age bias against Gen Z candidates or those aged between 18 and 27 years old. Okay. Another 34% of 343, I don't know why it's different, but 34% of the hiring managers
So it's both
also said,
sides. Hmm.
yeah, they concerns about hiring candidates over the age of 60.
It's a
Okay.
bell curve.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
basically a third, a third, a third.
Yeah. So now
Hmm.
check this out. So bias. This is anonymous, obviously. Biases. How you say it?
Hey, yeah, it's plural of dice.
You guys get it. Bias. You get
Dices.
it. The dices. You know,
Sorry.
if we just did the
It's a plural
news,
of
it should be
mice.
like a 5-minute show.
No, seriously. What's the plural of mice?
Mices. No.
See?
What's PEO?
Yeah, yeah.
PO. All right. Bias against job can I said that wrong. Against job candidates also extended to their appearance, which hiring managers saying that
Interesting.
they are deterred from considering candidates. And I didn't copy the rest of the sentence. That's awful. I need to go
So,
find the rest of that sentence. Do you know the rest of the sentence? Because I didn't copy
so
the whole
here's the
sentence.
best. Here's the best part of that, and it's related to ageism. You just trailed off. You just kind of like got to the story and went, "What's going to happen when the dogs catch up to the jump, 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 jump,
I,
jump, jump, jump?"
I couldn't kind of plan that any better.
Yeah, well. The thing is again, as we
Take
talked
over.
about during our show, professional employer organization. That's what PEO stands for.
Yes, I know.
So, just want to make sure the audience understands. Are they ever going to say what the hell the PEO is for?
It's
Don't
PO.
scratch. Don't scratch. That's PEO.
Gotta
So,
take a drink.
yeah, I think the thing with ageism is it's always existed.
It's never going to go
It's
away.
it's never going to go away.
No.
It's we are talking about it now because it's important to us now. But you know what? Ageism. We go back to 1840. And you
It's there.
tell me that there wasn't ageism. Now, the ages were different because people didn't live as
Right.
long and people worked earlier in
Yeah.
life. But you tell me that people didn't have bias then? Come on. There's always been a bias on both sides. for different
Right.
reasons, and it's like waves on a beach.
Yeah. So
Ageism is there.
so
It's just
so
going to be there.
without getting us canceled, let's
Hmm.
talk about ageism.
Okay.
Is it really is it bad
Mm. No, it's
to
not.
consider use the Home Depot
Hmm.
example
Yeah.
that I was
Yep.
joking around with?
Safety. Yep.
Safety, right? Is it now? Home Depot hires a lot of older people.
Yep.
They're retired plumbers, they're retired
Right.
electrician. They're super intelligent and smart and great at what they've done, and they can
Right.
answer the questions. But should a 70-year-old man or
It
woman
should be throwing around sacks of concrete.
and climbing a ladder that's
Uh,
4 tiers high?
Agreed.
Now, not saying there are most 7-year-olds are probably in better shape than me.
Sure.
Understood.
100%
Understood.
for me. Yes.
But is it the physical ability as a manager? Am I looking and say, look, physically, I don't think you should be doing this? Or
I
is it an age thing? Like, I understand the
I think you have to
arguments.
make yourself whatever age you are, and if you want to add value to a company, you have to make yourself valuable.
Right,
So it's the onus is on you, the individual, the employee, to make yourself valuable.
right.
If you can't throw concrete, okay, there's
Don't throw
other
concrete.
things that you can do to add value.
Right,
So as long as you're adding value, then there's no problem.
right,
It's the problem becomes where either you feel like you're owed something, some type of entitlement, or you can't throw concrete and you don't want to add value somewhere else.
right,
All right, well, we have a problem
right.
because now the company has to pick up the slack. They have to go hire someone else, or that thing doesn't get done.
Then
And
we get back
that's
into accommodations.
right.
Did the employer make reasonable accommodations for somebody who is unable to
Which
lift
I
a
am
sack of
absolutely
concrete?
for. I am absolutely for accommodations.
Oh, 100%,
Pro
100%.
accommodations.
Right.
The thing is accommodations help you thrive.
Yeah,
That's
oh,
not what we're
absolutely.
talking. That's not what we're
Right.
taling about here. We're talking about risk and risk mitigation. So if
Correct.
you're helping someone thrive in it, and then basically say, hey, I've got dyslexia, so I'm going to have a hard time with signage.
Right.
Just kind of if you want to put me on in the retail sense, if you want me to go do signage and change out all the price points and stuff like that,
I may have a
I'm
problem with
probably
that.
going to struggle. Now, again, that's different than to say, oh, well, hey, you know what? You've got these other skills. Why don't you do these things?
Sure. Sure.
So, like, an accommodation isn't that's not what we're
Oh
talking
no,
about.
no, hundred
Accommodations
percent,
are
100%. But
wonderful.
I think in certain circumstances it crosses over.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think that people will misclassify
Correct.
that. Oh, someone will say, hey, you know what? I can't stand on my feet for 8 hours.
Right.
Because I'm just using myself as an example. I've got a bunch of titanium through my body, and I just can't stand that long.
I
I
would
can
think that
stand.
makes you stand longer. Like you're titanium,
No,
man.
no,
Like
no.
you're like a
Unfortunately,
superhero at this point.
no. Unfortunately,
Literally.
it's it's not that way. But the thing is like, okay, if I know that, cool. What I can do, you can do. What's your max? Like before
Right.
it starts to hurt. 2 hours, great. Well, listen, we're gonna do 2 hours, and we're gonna do a longer shift, but you're gonna take 2 hours and take 30-minute breaks.
Right.
Done. That way, it's reasonably accommodated.
Right.
Like we can take care of that. Like we don't need you to be in pain. We don't want you to be in pain because if
No.
you're in pain, you're not doing customers any good.
Right.
You're not doing the business any good. Like
Right.
the business should always do what's in the best interest of the business,
It's a
and
business.
they usually do.
Yeah. And they should. Yeah.
And let me pitch you this story: U.S. engagement hits 11-year low. This is
Engagement
from
in what?
Gallup. You know, employee engagement.
Oh, okay.
You
I
think
didn't know people
people
were
getting
getting
engaged?
married. Like,
I think that's a fair statement. We need to look
yeah.
that up. So this
Birth
is from
rates are
Gallup,
lower.
Gallup.com. So you can go and take a look at that. They do all kinds of cool studies. But 4.8 million fewer U.S. employees were engaged in early Q1 2024.
See that
So,
sentence right there. I'm going to take you off topic here.
uh-huh.
You just said 4.8 million fewer U.S. employees were engaged in early 2024.
Hmm.
They're
That
not
could
getting
mean a
married.
couple things.
Yeah.
Yes. No, they're talking about employee engagement. But yeah, that's fair. It is a fair statement. I think the thing for me as I read the article is why is this? Why are there less people engaged? Like what's
Yeah.
underpinning, right? What's driving this? Why are people less engaged? And I came to the conclusion of two things. One is, has the definition of engagement changed? Unbeknownst to us, what we think of as engagement is it a dated concept.
That's
Like
interesting.
I used to think engagement equals discretionary effort. And discretionary effort meaning you get the email at 5 o'clock on a Friday, and it's about a 2-hour task. Do you do it then? Do you do it over the weekend? Do you wait till Monday? And that's
Mm.
at the discretion of the employee. Always has been, always will be.
Mm-hmm.
And so when someone when someone has been engaged, they just do the work, get it done. Well, I'm not going to push that off. I'm going to get that done. Take care of customers, whatever the bid is. I'm going to get that
Yeah.
job done. And so it's that discretionary effort. I could do this. I don't have to do this.
Mm.
That's how people have looked at engagement in the past. But how do you look at discretionary effort in a remote or a hybrid or a highly flexible work environment? And so I think what it got me to really think about is like there's been a redefining of what engagement is. So yeah, the number's down. It's 11-year low.
Yeah.
Got it. 100%. And it's down. But is it down, or is it because people are rethought their lives and they have a different way of consuming and thinking about the construct of engagement, both
Yeah.
employer and employee? So
Hmm.
it's a cool study. Take a look at it, come to your own conclusions, of course. But I believe in my heart of hearts, I think that we're saying engagement, employee engagement, and it's meaning something different to
It
both
is.
parties,
Yeah.
both. So anyhow, go look at the
Hmm.
study.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting because I have my definition,
What do
right?
you got?
Which is probably the same as yours, and and how engaged. Well, I shouldn't use the word, but how loyal or how motivated
Right,
into the company I am, and how motivated I am to meet the goals of the company
right.
and to do the work required, and how I work with my colleagues and how I interact with customers and how excited I am to be there. There's a lot that can go into that. It could also mean a lot of other things too.
Right.
Um, so this is interesting because it's kind of
Yeah.
like we recently had a conversation with James Ellis
Yep. Brand,
on
employer
brand,
brand.
yeah, employer brand, and we had a definition, and he said no. He
He
said no,
crushed
you're
us.
wrong. He added a few other words in there. He got
I'm
wrinkles
not,
on his head, and
I'm
he's like,
not saying you're
oh,
stupid.
I'm
However,
not saying you're stupid, but you're
whoa.
fucking stupid. Um, Yeah, and he just said, no, employer brand, just, and I'm going to misquote him here, but I'll get close, is just being clear on what
Yeah,
you want,
that's right.
right? So is engagement just being clear on what
Yeah,
you want, right? Like a portion of that, like, yeah, it can mean a lot of different things, but I think to measure it, yes, you're right. The company
agree.
needs to have a definition and agree on what that is.
Yeah, because when you read that study, it's like, oh, this is scary. Oh, okay. Well, is it?
Yeah.
Or is it that people are rethinking it and maybe the definition has changed or people are thinking about it differently?
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
I think it's okay that it changed. At times have
Oh,
changed. This is
100%.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
All right. What you got?
I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. So I found this audit study, which I just thought was beautiful. It's an old study. It was done in 2021. The results were released in 2021, but now they've re-released with naming the company. So in 2021, the results of this study were released, sans the name of
Right.
the companies that they've measured. Now is being re-released, and it are actually releasing the names of the companies. Some of this is outdated. Process and stuff could have changed, but this was just released. So what happened here was researchers sent 80,000 fake resumes and applied to US jobs across a whole bunch of companies across the country. Okay?
Yeah.
So there's we'll just have, there's way too much to talk about here. We can have 2 shows on this. But I want to give you there's a couple of things they measured here, so I want to share that, and then we'll kind of go back and forth on this. But the largest racial gap, there were 2 companies that were named, AutoNation and GPC. I don't know what GPC is. The smallest racial gap. Okay, these are companies that had almost zero racial gap found in their recruiting process, which is how they've accepted the resume, the job description, the response on the resume, how they responded, when they responded, all of that stuff. Avis Budget, the rental company, Charter, Dr. Pepper, FedEx, Hilton, Kohl's, Kroger, Lowe's, McLean, Mondelez, Ryder, and Cisco
Right.
were found to have the smallest gap, most of them with a 0 on the score.
So basically, if I understand this, they submitted the 80,000, and they're all obviously different people, etc. Those that move forward in the process it's highlighting less of a gap. Those that got dinged, and so it shows a larger gap. Is that basically
No,
your
not
take?
somewhat. So the
Okay.
resumes were standard, right? They had two different resumes. They had a couple of variations of them, but they were
Right.
all the same when they sent them. Different names,
Okay.
different names. So some were clearly historically white names,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some were clearly historically African
Now,
American names. Some were,
before you go any further, did they change anything other than the name?
they did. They also changed certain things like
Automatically
groups.
stop talking.
I'm stopping.
So stop.
I'm
So here's the
stopping.
thing. If they change the name, they change the school. Now what you have is multivariable analysis. So somebody could
Mhm.
have dinged that because of the name, or they could have dinged it because of the school.
No, so so those major headings, right, from my
Right.
understanding, remain the same. What they changed were clubs, for example, like sororities. It
Right.
may have been a historically black
Yeah,
sorority
HBC.
as
Yep,
opposed
got
to
it.
a Jewish fraternity, right? So they
But it
changed
was it multiple things on one resume is my point.
meaning what, like the name
So
and
yeah, let's say my name is the same, but you've changed 2 or 3 different variables on my resume.
yeah, they would so like they change again, from what I've read, they
Right.
changed the like clubs and sororities, fraternities, or uh,
So they made a white resume
they
and
made a
they made
white
a
resume,
black
they made a black
resume.
resume, they made an Asian. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
and what they found was
Huh.
that there's a lot of different gaps here, of course. So too much to list here, but it is really really interesting. And those were the companies that came out good
GPC is
versus
Genuine
bad.
Auto Parts Company. It's
It's
what
a
you would
parts
know
company,
as
yeah.
it's Napa.
Ah,
Napa Auto
Napa.
Parts.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Funny, both of them are in
That's
the
that's their stock symbol. That's why. That's the only
got it.
reason I know.
Both of them are in auto. So the
Yeah.
yeah.
Shocking.
So on average, so one thing
Hmm.
I can say that companies did not treat the male and female applicants differently
Hmm.
versus male versus female
That's interesting.
until they hit different things like uh race, right?
Hmm.
No penalties were found for
Interesting.
using non-binary pronouns,
Right. Right. Right.
for
Right.
being gay, as
Yeah. Yeah.
indicated right by the LGBTQ
Right.
on the resume. Um, but it did result in a slightly higher penalty for white applicants if you associated in a club or had LGBTQ on the resume, but
Well, that's
benefited
crazy.
black applicants.
Huh.
Small. They said it was
Yeah.
small,
Yeah. 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 But
but there
still,
was a
if there's
clear
something there,
delineation.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to see. I want to see this now with
Yeah,
Gen
I want to
AI
see the whole thing. Yeah.
with millions. I want to see
Hmm.
it with a large data set
Yeah.
because it would really give us some insight into the state of where we are right now in hiring.
Yeah.
Like we
And again,
think
this is
we've
2 years old.
progressed, 3, but
You're right,
it's the
3. Math.
for the non-math
Clearly, I don't
majors.
know acronyms or math.
Alrighty, well, no worries.
Isosceles triangles. That's what I know.
Hey
All
man, I
right.
learned all about thermal heat last night with my
Next
son. It's
topic.
like
Do something
great.
different.
All right, this is the last of the R. We're about to get into the F. So this is an interesting study. So basically the title of it is an examination on whether and how. So there's two things. Leader humility enhances leader personnel success, their career success.
Mm.
So it's basically looking at two things. So now you are dealing with multiple variables. You're looking at whether it happened and how. So they studied basically humility. And so you read the conclusion. This is online library at wiley.com. You just go to wiley.com and search for it. Humility. So basically, I didn't read the whole report because it was a bit long, but the conclusion was this: humility creates informality. Informality creates protege and mentor relationships where people can feel like they can actually talk with one another. That gives the appearance of promotability. So, like, think about it in your own life when you've been mentored or mentored others. And if you're humble at points with people, like, yeah, it was a mistake I made. When you're humble and you're not arrogant, you're not, taking credit for other people's work and stuff. So there's a humility, a humbleness, if you will, to you. Then what the study is saying is that humbleness actually comes out in the form of other people view you as a better leader,
True. Yeah.
and then your promotability goes up. And
Mhm.
so, if you've ever wanted to study and data around why it's good to be humble, they've created it for you.
This
So go
could be it.
check that out.
Yeah. This is it's interesting to me. I've always kind of secretly wanted to research or study this. So
Hmm.
maybe I'll take a read. I'm thinking examples in my mind. I'm thinking of sports. The head coach. I've got to do better. I've got to put my players in a better place. Or the
Right, right.
quarterback saying, "Yeah, you know what? I didn't have my best game. They dropped 7 passes. You did it. You were
You
pretty
hit him in
damn
the
good.
numbers,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right
yeah,
here. He hit
yeah,
him right here.
yeah." And even though I listen to that, and I think, you know, Andy Reid, you're full of shit. You in your mind, because the moment you get off that stage and you go into that office,
You're about to
you
light someone up.
you yeah, you're gonna light somebody up. And so I think to myself, like, okay, I get it. That's the game. They have to do that.
They don't
But
have to do that.
they don't have to, but
They
they
don't have to
do,
do
right?
that.
And then they're lauded on sports talk radio as
Oh
being,
yeah.
he's
Oh yeah.
so accountable, he's this, he's that. And I'm thinking, he's full of shit. Like, I see through that, right? Like, I don't
Well, he's playing the
believe
game.
that. He's
I mean,
right.
they're playing the game because
Yeah.
we see it in all sports.
Yeah. And now it's
Uh,
different than in a corporate environment.
yeah, but think
Um,
of like some of the people that you've worked for.
yeah.
Like Rudy at Connexa. I never worked for Rudy. I advised on some deals, and I
Hmm.
knew him well enough to
Yeah.
say his name and for him to know me. But he always seemed humble to me. He always seemed approachable, at least. Like I felt
Yes.
like I could talk to the guy about
Very
stuff.
approachable. Very approachable.
And now
There was a
that might have been a game,
there was a
or
time. I got to tell this Rudy story. I know we're way over time, but I got to tell this story. Sales client. We're in the home office here in Plymouth, New York, King of Prussia. Dell was the client, right? Potential
oof,
client. They come in. It's for RPO deal, right? Everyone's in the office. I'm up here. I'm doing my bit, right? I'm talking. I'm acting like big wig, and I'm doing my thing.
yeah.
He walks in the room, barges in, and just starts talking. Right? It was almost like it was scripted. It's like, hey guys, blah, 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 blah. He's
Oh my
doing this thing.
goodness.
Now he's lovable, right? Like you hear him talk, and
Oh
people
yeah.
fall in love with him. He introduced himself to me in front of the client and I'm up there selling. Now I know him, right? I don't know how this fits into the
Ryan,
story.
Ryan, my name is Rudy. We might not know each other.
It was the most. It was kind of the most awkward yet
Oh yeah.
fun things that has ever happened to me. But he is one of those leaders. Yes, there's a couple more that I've worked with in the past that are that have done exactly what you're talking about, but they've done it in a way that wasn't like Andy Reid or another
Oh yeah.
sports coach, right? Like
Let's, your
it
hate for Andy Reid is
felt
pick a
well,
different
yeah.
coach, but I
Look,
just
you can't take us to 7 or whatever the hell it was NFC
three in a
championships
row, three national. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then go to Kansas City and just win 7 fucking Super Bowl. You can't. No. So yes, I have a hate
There's,
for
there's
Andy.
some.
I
Yeah,
want to
that's
see him
fair.
do well. He's
Yeah,
done
do you?
well. All right,
Do
stop
you really?
doing well. Move on.
Yeah.
Um, so they've done it in different ways, but there is a very specific formula, I think, to that
Yeah. I
feeling
think
of
you have to back
authenticity
the
around that.
humility up. So I think that again, getting back to the kind of where we've talked about
Hmm.
authenticity and being genuine I think if you're that person on stage in front of the cameras
Yeah.
and you're a different person behind that, then you're not really humble.
Right.
You're just playing the game.
Right.
But if you're the same person on
Then.
stage and then you go off stage and you meet with those players and say, "Hey, listen, I told the news. This is the bit, and we got some things to
Yeah.
work on, and let's do that."
Yeah.
Like if you're that coach, then you're truly humble, and
Right.
it kind of comes out. And I think the people that are fraudulent, that comes out as well.
Right. Right.
So, all
Yeah.
right, well, let's
No.
go through the F's.
Let's get
Now,
some money.
we're gonna go through these quick because first of all, there's a bunch of them, and so we
Yeah, we
just
can
don't have a
just
lot of
run
time.
through them.
So Sprinto, it helps businesses build trust through its compliance and risk platform. This is finance at yahoo.com. So basically, they just raised $20 million, and what I love about this play is it's not looking at compliance in silos. So it's looking at compliance in every facet of the business,
Across the
which I think
enterprise and yeah.
across the enterprise and with AI, they're looking at it in real time. So they're looking at upgrading your
Hmm.
compliance, but they're looking at every form of compliance,
Yeah.
not just employees, not just this, that, or the other, but they've broken all the silos.
Right.
And so I think it's a great play. So there you go,
Yeah.
$20 million, good for them. Take a look
Yeah.
at them. It's Sprinto.
Yeah.
Sprinto.
I used to hate compliance talk, man. Benefits,
Ah,
compliance, all is it was the boringest thing in the world
sexy,
to me.
sexy. I'm telling you,
The last couple of years, I'm starting to fall in love with it. So
coming
anyhow,
around.
Steps Connect close a whopping $1 million, right? So
Okay.
not massive, right? It's a startup founded in
Yeah.
22, so this is
All
kind of
right.
their
That's
time, right?
actually pretty good. That's
Yeah,
pretty good for 2 years into the biz.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So their goal is to help Gen Z millennial or to help
Mm-hmm.
find Gen Z and millennial talent. Um, I don't know much about this company. I'm sure they're going to do well. They're going to use it to build out their job description builders, their matching and AI and all that stuff, and their social push. Um, but as I say that, it feels like and sounds like, I know I sound negative here, it sounds like more of the same. Like, how many companies do we need to build better job descriptions and matching AI and social pushes and all of that?
You want the good news or bad news?
Am I talking about the wrong thing? What?
No, no. Just do you want do you
Give
want
me
the
what?
good news or bad news?
I don't know what. Tell
You
me.
gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
Give me the good news. Let's go positive.
There's no good news. So
All
we talked about this last week.
right. I knew we talked about this last week. I didn't know if you were going to catch it.
It's the second week in a row. What you
I didn't know if you were gonna actually let me talk about it. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna talk about it and see if he catches it. All right,
Oh my god.
you're gonna have a heart attack and you're gonna die at the age of 55 because I make you laugh too much.
No, it's all good. It's
Yeah.
like as you were starting to go through the bit, I'm like,
I
I'm pretty
thought you would
sure
have seen it earlier when I dropped it in there.
I'm pretty sure we talked about this. And then a quick search reveals, yes, yes, indeed, we did. All right, let's move on because we've talked about it.
It's
Other
getting
notes that
cold
you
in
might
here.
want.
Let's get to summer.
So, good news, bad news. All right, so Summer,
Ah,
which is the name of a company, not a stripper. Summer raises $9 million to make student loan assistance from employers a workplace benefit.
I kind
Now,
of feel like
you and I have
Biden had help in this.
they just erased a bunch of $1 billion worth of debt. I'm like,
A
dude,
bunch
where's
of
mine?
billion. Did you say a bunch of billions?
A bunch of billion. I think it's 98. I think it's
Seven.
98.
Yeah, it's like nine. It's like 7.8. Yeah.
Dude, like I paid off my student loans. Where's my like? Just give me a tax break. Anyhow, so you and I had the privilege of actually podcasting with Will
Yes.
Seeley about a month ago on the Use Case podcast.
Yeah.
It's a cool play. It's a benefit, and it's a benefit
Yeah.
about helping people that need. It's not forgiveness, but it's
No,
helping them. It's financial wellness
it's
in that
exactly
world.
what it is.
So I found this on alleywatch.com, so you can go there and put in
Yeah.
summer. And Will, fantastic person. Definitely listen to the Use Case podcast because
Yeah.
he'll sell it. I mean, he'll $9 million isn't a small amount
Oh,
of money,
no.
and he'll give you everything you need to know. So
Yeah, he's one of those guys we spoke with. He's got a fantastic story from his
oh
parents
yeah,
to him
oh
to the
yeah,
whole bit. But he's smart. Like
oh wicked,
he's a smart guy. So
yes.
yeah, and this is again, you're not forgiving debt and not paying off your
No,
loan, just
no,
financial
you're just
wellness.
helping your employees.
And this is where my ageism's gonna come in. He's a younger guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I mean, he is incredibly smart, and he took an experience that he had
Hmm.
and has built a company with a mission to get it
Yeah.
done. And kudos to him. Kudos to him. I'm sure we'll
You
talk
know,
with him more and
it
more
never
and more.
came up. That's what was the funny thing is like as we were talking. I don't think we ever talked about funding.
No,
We'll have to go
he,
back and look at the
yeah,
transcript, but I don't
I
think
don't
we
think,
ever mentioned
no,
funding.
mm-mm,
Just
no,
we
I don't.
just both fell in love with him because he's just smart and it's a good idea.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And we got it right away. It's one of those cool projects. All right. Fact, Factorial. $80 million go to market investment from General Catalyst. So this is an SMB core HR solution
hmm
based in a place where they play a lot of football.
Barcelona.
Yeah. Do you like how I said
Okay.
football?
I did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Football.
They play a lot of soccer out there, don't they?
It's a way to get shot. No, no.
Yeah.
I like the play. It's interesting as I looked into it as well. Is they just did a raise
Yeah.
in 22, and they raised I think it was 100, 120
100.
million,
Yeah.
whatever it was, right? And they have $100 million in the bank.
Yes. Cash.
So
Yes.
basically, what this is in my opinion, this is 80 million of we're going to make other people rich
Yeah.
funds. So we don't really need the 80 million,
Hmm.
but this is what you do to create wealth for other people.
Yeah.
Is you bring some other people before you go public or
Right.
whatever. But it's a unicorn, and
100%.
from what I gather, it's really good. It's like similar to I think what we would think of like Bamboo HR, where they
Hmm.
do kind of a full suite
Right.
for the SMB, and so it's light. It's not an enterprise play, but it has enough of the stuff that you need and none of the stuff that you don't need. So I like that. And again, if we don't see them as much here in the States yet,
We probably
they
will, I would
they
assume.
got $180 million.
Yeah,
So
they'll be here. They'll be here,
yeah.
and I think it's notable to mention um, from their initial take, their initial raise, they went from say at 70 customers at that time. They've grown to over 10,000 customers.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah,
It's insane.
and
I
that's
looked at
not a
their
long time.
I looked at their site in both English and Spanish. So I read it in English just to see or if I got it, and then I went back and looked at it in Spanish because that's obviously they're from Spain. So I looked at it in Spanish. I'm like, that's cool. I mean, first of all, I was I was
Did you
fascinated
actually
because,
read it in Spanish?
oh yeah, well, as much as I could. But like on the contact page, they don't on the English side American on the I'll speak American. So
This is why I want to be in your head for a day.
that's what I do. I speak American every day. So, but like on their contact page
Oh,
for the English version, it doesn't have a corporate headquarters,
right.
even though it has a U.S. number to call. Right when you go to the Spanish page, it has a corporate location and it has a number and all that other stuff. But it's just I don't know. It's just fascinating. Just going
Yeah.
through. I mean, it's translated into more than just English and Spanish, of course, but
Yeah.
because they're coming from Barcelona, I'm always fascinated. Alrighty, let me pitch you this one. So this is Verimark, reference checking platform. Verimark raises $3 billion in a pre-Series B round. So what that means is they've done an A, they've done probably friends and family, whatever, and then they've done an A or C, been an A, and then now they're doing a B, but it's not all fully funded yet, and they're releasing this out and saying, yeah, we got $3 million in a
Mhm.
pre-Series B. Now Verimark, I know Verimark, so this is their think of First Advantage or I guess anyone that does background checks.
Mhm.
I mean, any of our friends that do background checks,
Mhm.
right? Think of this international. So they do global background checks, identification verification. And what's fascinating is I know one of their co-founders. So he created the Workplace Accelerator because he's in Singapore. He's a Brit, but he's in Singapore, and he wanted to kind of fund some HR plays, and so he created an accelerator. And he was running Verimark at the time, but Verimark was just kind of on its own, doing its bit,
Mhm.
making money. And then he went out and did a Series A. I can't release the terms, but it was aggressive for the time. It was a really aggressive round. The valuation was very high, and they got it. They got the funding, and now they're just killing it. So again, you could do like if you run a background check on somebody in you know Dallas, Texas, like you could do that 50 different ways.
Mhm.
Like okay, we can do that. You need to run that same background check on someone in Vietnam.
Different.
It's harder.
Yeah.
It's harder. You can still do it, but it's just harder. Anybody in that
So
space, we've had Dan on from Accurate before. Like
yeah.
it's just harder when you get outside the four walls of the U.S. or even English-speaking countries. Then you
Yeah.
deal with privacy. You got all kinds of stuff to navigate. So it's good for them and good for Daniel.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
uh,
a question on this is me wanting to learn.
sure,
W- Why? Okay. There's a lot of background check companies
right.
in this space. Why is this? Or, okay. Why is Verimark different than Accurate, and why is Accurate different than Checker? I know they do slightly different things, but
No, they do. I'd say this is do really similar things. They could just
yeah.
do it in 186 countries.
Okay. So is that? I mean, like,
Same check.
yeah. So, but like, what is the real difference between each background check company?
Well, most of them have migrated into identity verification and
Yeah.
then um, becoming a SaaS company. If they weren't already a SaaS company, becoming a SaaS company because background checks started with private investigators, and it was a
Right. Right.
service. You
Yeah.
hired
Yeah.
them to go look up,
Hmm.
Teddy and stuff like that. And if Teddy wears a Teddy, the whole bit. You wanted to know everything before you hired somebody. So, like that was a bit, and it was a service. When they started to kind of migrate a couple of years ago into employee monitoring.
Hmm.
So when we probably did a background check for some company, that was pre-employment. So in
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
pre-employment, we're going to like Terry, where
Yeah.
Teddy, where's a Terry? Okay, so like we would look at that and then we'd either accept him in or not, but then we'd never check it again.
Right. Then they got into listening and all
Now,
that.
now that they're doing, all of them are doing is they've created a SaaS a SaaS model, business model, financial model that then does here, if you pay us 39, 99, let's make it real simple with the math. $5 an employee a month. We're going to consistently once a month monitor them in the sense of we'll go and look at court records, we'll go and look at things that are available and with compliance. Obviously,
Right.
they're not going to do anything illegal. So they're going to go and look at that, and then you'll know, because here's the risk. You didn't hire a murderer
But
or
they
a
could
sex offender.
become.
They become a sex offender. They don't have to tell you that they're
Right.
going through that. So it's one of those deals you're dealing with risk. And HR is dealing with constantly kind of managing
Yeah.
risk reward. And so they would tell you all the different things that are different. And FAMA, one of our sponsors, they do
Yeah.
some of this as well.
Sure.
They all do it a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some nuances to it. It's like car manufacturers.
Mhm.
Okay, they have 4 tires, steering wheel. Yeah, we get it. But they all do it a little bit
The
differently.
infotainment's a little different. You want to hear a
100%. With Verimark, theirs came to market and said, well, you're familiar with all the list of all the
right?
wonderful a lot of them are publicly traded now, background check companies. We do that. We just do it in every country. And,
Right.
maybe not in the world, but we do it
Right.
in a lot of different countries. So
More
that's the
countries than
difference.
you're going to hire in.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So I'll tell you super fast, not funny story. I will say funny. This is funny. You mentioned murderers. My brother-in-law is not a
Let's see where
murderer.
this goes.
He's
Yeah.
not a murderer, but he got called to jury duty, and he got
Right.
picked for the trial. This is just this week. Okay.
Okay.
So the woman killed her husband. Pizza shop. They own a pizza shop, nice pizza shop in the area. A couple years ago, she killed her husband, shot him, back of the head. Done. Left him in the pizza shop for a couple of days, then got him home. They were redoing the driveway, stuck him underneath the driveway, and rolled the new driveway over top of him.
I already like this person. I already like this. Because then every time you park the car, you're like,
It happens.
good
So
luck.
he never sat the trial. They held out. She pleaded it down to whatever.
Yeah.
But you mentioned murder. She's a great example.
Yeah.
She
Of
wasn't
someone you
when you
hired.
hired her, but
No,
then
she was
she
a
put a
wonderful
bullet.
person.
She put a bullet in the back of his head,
And this
buried him
episode of
under the driveway.
Snapped. Yeah.
All right, we got
My
one
wife.
more. Let's do it.
One left. JFF Ventures. So for you keeping track at home, that's jff.org, a 3-letter domain. So JFF Ventures is a cool venture to look at because what they do is they're at the intersection of education, workforce, and human potential. And they just raised the second fund. They had a first fund, I think it was 50 million. They raised a second fund, and they'll add to it at $15 million. But so it's HR tech, but it's also looking at other things that are connected to HR tech. So what happens in the workplace also happens in education. It also happens where people are left out in terms of human potential.
Right.
So it's really got it's really got a cool mission statement. It is a venture firm. They raise money and they deploy capital and they want a return on their capital. So this isn't they didn't philanthropic. However,
Right.
it's as close to philanthropic or at least mission based that I've seen in our space. So
Yeah.
go look at the fund, jff.org, and then look at what they funded. Look at their portfolio of what they funded, and I think you'll be fascinated. And follow the money. Like with all of these things, follow the money.
Well, I like following the money.
Show me the money, Jerry.
I'm taking the money.
Show me the money, Jerry.
This
Show
was
me
a
the money,
long one,
Jerry.
man. We talked about a lot. We had a lot this week.
Well, some of that, if you would maybe not cover some of the stories that we've.
You mean don't cover the ones we did last week and the week before and in January
I'm just saying that maybe you could listen, but
they
that's
were
okay.
so good.
Yeah.
That I just wanted to bring them back. All right, listen. Shut it. if you're still listening, and I hope you are,
or watching.
or watching, yeah. I think you said earlier you're
Mhm.
watching and listening, or you said it the other day. I'm like,
I
no,
did.
I'm in the car. I'm probably not watching. You
Maybe
could
you're not in the
be.
car. You don't have
Anyway,
to be in the car.
subscribed everywhere. Follow us on social. See us out there in public. Say hello. And if you
Glitter.
have sweatshirts, please send me one. I would love you forever. We'll see you next time.